Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
I'm good, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So my first question is, tell me a little bit about your character in the movie.
Clemens is a Cambridge-educated doctor in during this time, the late 1800s, and he is a man who believes in science, and that's it. So it's one of those. It was um, interesting for me to jump into this role. He's British. He doesn't believe in the supernatural, and so you put him in this situation. He also grew up on boats when he was a kid, and so he knows his way around the Demeter, but not with this crew. And so it was just interesting to put Clemens with this group of sailors on a boat to London. There are a few men down sailing across the Mediterranean, or the Aegean, but then you also add Dracula, and then it just takes a whole nother shape. But also just the fact that he's a black doctor in the 1800s, which is awesome to pay homage to the black men who went to Cambridge and during that time. So it's cool. Yeah.
And over the years, we've seen multiple variations of Dracula. He's been portrayed as a narcissist, a lover, stalker, serial
Yeah.
killer, and the list continues.
Yeah.
This interpretation, fans are able to see how, like, his origin story and how he got to England. So, what
Right.
was it like for you to be a part of the whole adaptation?
I mean, it's my first intro to the world of vampires and Dracula was Blackula in 1970s, and the black exploitation film. Pam Grier doing her thing. And so to be able to that led me to Bram Stoker's novel, which I read a few years later, and then this particular chapter of the book, which I think is honestly the most interesting chapter in Dracula because it's what you don't know, and that's the thing that I think is a clue into why humans love, like why we love horror, because it's all about what you don't know. And like the captain's writing this log about this thing that's on board that he doesn't quite understand. And so Dracula to me represents the other. Clemens on this ship represents the other. And so there is a bit of like, do they see that in each other? And this Dracula sort of toys with this crew. He's not just this mindless animal. And you get to really see him in the monster form, because usually it's just, this suave devil. But here he ain't no suave to it. He's coming with it. He's bringing the pain.
Definitely. And one of the things I love so much is the progression of the paranoia of the whole crew. Like everyone's like, what's happening?
Right. Yeah. And particularly, I love Chris Wally. He plays Abrams, and you watching this crew. They have this unique bond, this connection, and they also believe in the superstitious, but they're just superstitions. But when they start happening, on the journey that literally could be like they're about to earn the biggest bonus they've ever earned and all these things, and they're looking for the hope there. David Dastmalchian's character is Voyage is about to become the captain of the ship, and and I'm about to get to London, and then there's a stowaway on board, okay, and then people start disappearing, and you watch that's human nature, right, playing out right in front of you. You're watching these people turn on each other and turn on its head, and it's just fascinating, because that's what the horror genre does. It makes us question those things about ourselves and put a mirror up to yourself and say, what would I do in that moment? Because that's why you lean into the film and you start yelling at it, because you're like but I think it's just so revealing about these characters. That was what drew me to it. It's a character piece, and Dracula is one of those characters in the mix in this.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I am Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you both?
Hello, you. Are you well?
I'm good. I'm good. So
Excellent.
let's start off by telling me a little bit about both of your characters.
My character is Captain Elliot. He is the captain of this ship called the Demeter. And they are a merchant sea vessel. And they have a crowd of delightfully, beautifully drawn characters. Unfortunately, they've got another character on board by the name of Dracula. and he comes and brings grief, pain, misery, and horror to the cast.
Hi, by the way. So in the last Voyage of the Demeter, I portray Voyage, first mate of the ship, the Demeter, which has been my home for many years. I have served under my captain, who is also my mentor and my hero, Captain Elliot, played by Liam Cunningham. We are embarking on what should be a pretty simple voyage, carrying cargo from Eastern Europe back to London, to the United Kingdom. And over the course of the journey, I am told by the captain that not only is it my captain's final voyage, but that when we get to harbor, I get the ship. He's putting me in charge as captain of the Demeter. This is something I've worked towards my entire life, and it's happening. Little do I know, just a few days into this fated journey, things are not going to go as I had dreamed or hoped.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of twists and turns. The horror, it's all there.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people who you could classify as a scaredy cat when it comes to horror movies. Like, I'm the person who covers their face but peeks at the same time. So while watching the film, I was scared, but I was intrigued at the same time, because it's one thing to read the chapter, but it's another thing to see it play out in front of you. So what was it like for both of you to be a part of this adaptation?
Oh, it was absolutely extraordinary, because we're going back to the book. We're going back to the original monster. And the chapter in the book that they talk about, which the chapter that brings Dracula to the UK, is fleshed out. It's very sparse in the book. The names are mentioned. The events are loosely mentioned as well. So we got the opportunity to flesh these characters out and see the original Dracula as in the original book. And that's a real joy. And you know, I think it's as regards cinema, when you think how long horror films have been done. Nosferatu was 1922, 100 years later, and we're still intrigued. You're still talking to us about this character. And hopefully we've represented them properly in all his glory and all his horror.
Yeah, I can't say it better. I feel that being a lifelong monster kid and someone who's been obsessed with and fascinated by horror cinema, the fact that I am now going to be in a film in cinemas with the Universal Studios banner atop it, a Dracula picture where we're making Dracula scary for the first time in a very long time, seeing the horror of Dracula in a period piece as well, a piece of the film that brings to life the danger, the thrills, all the stuff that movies can do so beautifully when it's done right, being tossed in a storm at sea while fighting this monster. This is so cool. I'm still pinching myself, and the little monster kid in me counts his lucky stars, and my gratitude cup of blood runneth over.
I love that. Thank you guys so much for speaking with me today.
Nice talking to you.